My parents were really good in the sense where they wanted us to learn life skills. So, once a week it was me and my two brothers turned to cook dinner for the family. Both of my brothers can't boil water. Whereas me, I was always like, I found this Jamaican chicken recipe on taste.com or whatever it was back then. And I'd cook all this random stuff and I had no idea what I was doing, but I just sort of winged it and I just loved it.
What was your motivation for jumping on MasterChef in the first place?
Scrolling Facebook, and there was a random video of, MasterChef scene where all the contestants are there and they're learning how to make a bolognese sauce. I looked at it and I thought, maybe I could do that, And then I Googled MasterChef application because I didn't understand anything about it. And then sure enough, they were actually taking intakes. So I screenshot it and I sent it to my now wife and I said, this would be cool. And then she said, yeah, it would be, but you're too shy. So then I said, well, I'll show her. So then I started applying. I met Marco and I nearly cried. When I met him, he was very sweet, very calm, very helpful. I cooked a meat pie for him. I swear, hand on my heart, he takes his glasses off and he's like,
hey guys, I was checking out our data for the last month and realized that over 90% of the people watching our videos are not yet subscribed. If you've ever found value in our videos or enjoyed the conversations, hit that subscribe button now. It really helps our channel more than you can imagine, and it's the only thing I'll ever ask from you. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Daniel Lamble, thanks for joining us on the NextGenNorth podcast.
Thanks for having me. I'm chuffed.
You're a hard man to bloody nail down these days, mate. You're a bit busy, it seems. What's going on? How's things?
Yeah, things have been good. I have been busy. I don't think it's that I'm a hard man to nail down. I just I struggle to focus at times. So I'll see a message and then I'll yep, I'll get back to him, and then I'll bloody forget because I'll see a bird fly past or something.
Yep.
No, but I have been busy. We've started doing stuff with food finally.
Yep.
Tucker is up and running and at the beautiful Flix.
Yep.
At the old cinema venue, which is real exciting. Exciting and nervous and all the other things mixed into it. But holy Jesus, I've been busy. It's been good. I love it.
Awesome. So what's your involvement down at Flix? Do you have sort of an executive role there, or are you just sort of a team member? What's the go down there?
Yeah, I'm not an executive or anything like that. There's a head chef there, Jake Horner, who's a bloody legend. He's taken on a big role there. My role is mostly focused with Tucker and Flix.
Okay.
And yeah, I guess it's kind of like a guest chef or something like that, or an in-stage chef.
Awesome.
It wasn't something I could take on right now to sort of take on that role of head chef or anything like that. Just didn't have a background or time really, but
sure.
And it was a real creative sort of role where it's like, this is kind of what we're thinking, and I ran with it and really wanted to have fun. And yeah, it's been really cool with designing the food in that show kitchen, open fire, which is what I love, and a big pizza oven and stuff like that. So Jake and I have sort of put heads together and just nutted out this menu, and it's going to be sort of changing and heaps of exciting stuff to come on, enough to keep me busy anyway. So yeah.
Awesome. So is there like a theme there, or you say there's an open fire, you got a pizza oven. Is it going to be sort of like rustic stuff, or is it like grilled sort of stuff? Because of the open fire.
The theme mostly was when I first this has been in the chats for a bloody long time, since December 22.
Wow.
The owners, the directors, they pulled me in for a chat, and this was back when when it was still all untouched, the old cinema and the old Ducks Nuts, and I walked through and it was a shock. I hadn't been in there for 10 years or something, and they sort of talked me through the lobby, and it was still a cinema and I couldn't see it, and they've had this brainwave
this vision,
this construction vision, Chloe and Lockie Moo, and this is what we want to do. We want to make this botanical outdoor thing, and what do you reckon with food? And I'm like, oh my God, like, and I was just keen, and the way that they were talking about it and the love and passion that they had, it was we want to pay homage to Darwin. It's an old historical site, and, first dates here and this and that. We don't want to,
lose that.
Yeah. And well, for me, I went to the cinema, but I got stood up there once, so it's kind of like, I love
bulldoze it.
Yeah. No, but and they're sort of thinking like botanical, outdoor, green, all this sort of thing, and they're like, what do you reckon? And I said, I kind of thought, well, if I was in that sort of thing, I'd love to sit there with a beer or a margie or something like that. And I said, if you could sort of the Mindle Beach markets and Rapid Creek and all that other sort of stuff that we have, that's amazing. Why don't we just put all that market food in a venue like that, where it's just sort of sit down, kind of sushi train sort of thing, where you're having a cocktail and I'll grab one skewer and then I'll grab another one next one. And yeah, they love the idea. And I said, look, and on top of that, and I said, for me, when you're going through the markets, you know, like Marco Pierre White says, when you go to a restaurant, first thing that smashes the atmosphere. And I said, I get the same thing when I go to the market. You see all these cool lights and green and sunset and all that, and then your smells awakened by all the open fire and the bright colours and all that sort of thing.
Yep.
So if you can put an open grill in here somewhere, that would be sick.
Right.
And then
can you see the flame and all that sort of thing?
Yeah, it's full show kitchen, so you can see the pizza oven, which is in the centre.
Yep.
And then there's a big parrilla, you know, like Argentinian grill sort of thing.
Yep.
And you can see it, all the smoke comes out and that, and yeah, a few months went by and a few different yarns and meetings and stuff, and then next thing you know, they sort of drawn up a plan, and I was like, oh my God, like this is actually really cool. Like, so yeah, so it was really, and then from there I sort of sat down and thought a bit more about food, and like for me, like I'm a Territorian, like born and bred, so I really wanted to try and throw back some of that Darwin style food as well in there, mixed in with a few natives and stuff that we have or that we might not necessarily have.
Yep.
And push the boat out a little bit with some I guess weird things, but still in the essence of market food, where it's not too flash but still enough to enjoy. And
Yep.
So that we got things in there like nummus and damper and
Wow.
it makes me, I get real excited talking about it. Yeah, I think it's real cool having a nummus on a menu and stuff like that. So
Yep.
yeah, it's kind of that Darwin market style or street style food.
Sure.
Not a I guess a finer restaurant by all means, but
Yep.
yeah, with a bit more contemporary sort of techniques and stuff like that thrown in there. But you won't notice it. You're just having a good time and a beer, and
Great.
yeah, it's really cool.
So is it kind of like a small plates type focus then? Is it just like tapas-y sort of?
It's all shareable small plates.
Yep.
The thing that I really wanted to do, and it is a bit selfish, but myself and Jake, like we talked about this sort of stuff, and when I go out to dinner, well, for one, because I'm a big guts, but I want to try everything on the menu.
Yeah.
I want to have a taste of everything, and me and my missus, when we go out, it's a big bill because it's just
Sharing
plates
and-
everywhere,
yeah,
and
yeah.
we're just, you know.
Yep.
And I said, I want that same sort of thing, all small enough that it's a communal eating experience, because you are sitting outside and you're out. It's almost, the conception behind it is sort of like you're sitting on a balcony, and you're there for, Arvo lunch or something like that. And
sort of Tropo,
yeah,
Darwin
100%.
style out on the balcony. Yep.
Yeah, and I thought, like if I've got friends and stuff over on my balcony, yeah, I'm cooking a bunch of all little things just for people to, get their hands in amongst it, and and that's where a lot of the ideas of some of the food came from, with just a spoon or chopsticks, and same with the damper, you pull it out, you crack it, and you pass it around and share, real communal dining, sharing experience. Yeah,
Yeah, awesome. So in terms of the architecture, because it's a beautiful old building, that old Darwin cinema building, yeah, but because it's a cinema, the bloody ceilings must be massive on it.
huge, yeah.
How have they sort of, like, what sort of architectural decisions have they made? Have they kept the high roofs and, in terms of the theatres themselves, what have they done with those? Because that's just like you say, when you're walking through the sort of skeleton of the old place, hard to sort of picture what it will look like as a finished product. What have they, like,
Consistently, like I've sort of had the opportunity to go through at different stages, and what Lockie has done in particular with the architecture and engineering and all that sort of stuff. It's a whole world separate to me that I don't understand.
Sure.
All I know is that he's been working his butt off for the last 2 years or so to get this happen, and they've kept the high roofs, particularly in the cinema foyer. The stuff out the back is all, to be coming soon sort of thing.
So
there's
there's still stuff to come.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Because
the whole cinema collective
Yep.
is the overarching, business, the foyer, which contains Sweethearts at the old Ducks Nuts.
Yes.
Which was stage one, opened in July.
Yep.
And then Flix, the second stage, which is where the old cinema foyer was, that's stage two. And then all the stuff out the back is coming soon, with all the old cinema rooms and that sort of stuff. So it's incredible what they've done. Hats off to them. My job has been related to food, and then seeing what they've done in regards to like I was saying with the lobby, they've kept the old high ceilings, and at first I thought, open air, but is it going to be hot? Is it going to be humid? But because with those high airs, you do really get that breeze come through, and it's unreal. I can't actually wait for a good old wet season storm to come through and just feel that breeze come in.
Sure.
It'll be unreal.
Yeah.
But the engineering, the architecture, not that I understand it too much, I know that it looks beautiful.
Yep.
And from what they've sort of said is it was an old building and it's had so much work done to it, which really it kind of actually, I guess, what excited me even with the involvement in the begin with, after MasterChef and that sort of thing, you get these restaurant offers, oh, do you want to come cook in this restaurant or, take over this head chef or whatever. Wasn't a world I ever wanted in, then it was a bit of a journey and that sort of thing. But seeing the love and passion that these guys have put into something.
Yes.
Particularly, they're all Darwin, old Darwin folk and stuff like that who you can see there's that love in it. And when they were talking about, look, this is an old building and, the old Duck's House, the old cinema and that sort of thing. And, I remember talking to Justin Coleman, who's one of the other directors involved in it. And that just for a very successful person, that love's still in there.
Yes.
And it just rubs off on you, right? You get excited talking about things and then it's like, okay, I want to do my part, in regards to the food.
Yep.
And when they'll talk, like the designs in a lot of it, with say the old the Duck's Nut side, Sweethearts, a lot of the booths and that there, the wood that they've used, they've recycled old wood from a caravan park in Malak.
Yep.
Old Jarrah wood. On the Flix side, for example, they've I don't know if you've seen, they've got the projectors up on the wall.
Yeah, I've seen
homage to the cinema.
Yeah.
A lot of the photos and that are from Darwin archives.
Yeah.
Which is just incredible that they've gone through that effort to really show homage. The back of house, the function room.
Yeah.
Same again. They've got all these old archive photos in there that really just shows back to the heritage and it's incredible.
Yeah.
Made me keen, and then I was like, right, I'm on board.
Yeah.
I'm interested.
Well, I love the concept because the Darwin Cinema Collective, I guess it sounds to me like the process is kind of like, you can go to Flix, have a cocktail, maybe have a small plate. Maybe you could go to Sweethearts for a main meal and a beer or something like that.
Yeah.
Because I remember before Duck's Nuts, I remember Sizzler.
Oh, wow.
where Ducks is now,
Jesus.
then was.
Yeah.
I think Sizzler was actually purpose built, that building for Sizzler.
Yeah.
So back in the day, you'd go to Einstein's, the video game arcade.
Jesus Christ, yeah.
Then you'd go to Sizzler for dinner, and then you'd go to the movies and watch a movie afterwards. So it was like this sort of
hop around
thing, which kind of sounds like might be, once stage 3, I guess, gets off the ground as well, which is, under wraps at the moment. It sounds like there's going to be like a whole sort of entertainment package locked up together. Is that sort of
that's what I
how you're
believe?
getting
The intention is that there's going to be, I guess, that real. You go out with your family or your partner or whatever, and you can that. Try not to say anything, but there is that intention that in the future, absolutely, you can stop in, you can have a bloody cocktail at 5 o'clock and enjoy the sunset or whatever else, and then go wherever for something else, and then finish up at the old Sweethearts and the dueling pianos. If you've seen that is a vibe. Like I remember when Justin and Steve Dougal, the two directors, they mentioned the dueling pianos, and for me, like I guess a bit rough. Pianos. Oh, that's a bit flash,
Yeah.
And until I saw it, I was like, wow, this is sick. Like
got the big croc skin on there.
Yeah, it's so cool. And they're playing all the old bangers, Piano Man and Hey Sweet Caroline and that sort of thing. And it is that experience where you can spend a night there for sure, and it's just it's so cool to be a part of it. My involvement, I guess, is the food and on one part, and it's in the scheme of things is somewhat small, but it's I'm chuffed to have the opportunity to do that.
Is the dueling pianos going to be a seasonal thing, or is that something they're going to try and run throughout the year? Because I imagine it's probably pretty hard in Darwin to find like one pianist. Let alone maybe 2. Yeah. That can belt out a tune sort of will.
The thing with the Sweethearts is they're doing 7 nights entertainment.
Yep.
The majority is that pianos, which again surprised me. Wow. And they're really pushing that. They really want to push that local pianist.
Yep.
I mean, I don't even know a pianist, but I mean, I've met a few now, but they've done well, and they've even brought in people from one of their other events
Yeah.
in Byron. You know,
Yeah.
they've got that there. So they've flown people up and stuff like that. They're really just trying to provide that entertainment. And some nights they don't have the pianos. They'll do, you know, live bands, local acts and stuff like that, which is really cool.
Yeah, cool.
But yeah, it's full swing, man. They really want to keep
Wow.
going, and it is cool. Like it just really provides a good sing along experience, you know. Yeah. The first time I went there, and the missus and I were just singing and chanting and bloody dancing and stuff like that at the piano. I never thought I'd do it, but
Yeah.
it's cool, and I love that they're so committed to it, you know. Yeah, it's great.
Well, I love it. I love people trying new ideas in Darwin, but I'm also sort of cognizant of the fact that the territory is also the graveyard of good ideas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, case in point was, do you remember Rorke's?
Yes.
So when Rorke's, well, it was Rorke's Drift, right, back in the day, and then it moved to the old Commonwealth Bank building.
Yep.
I think it's Bennett Street, and they opened this beautiful pub with the beer taps that you pay with a credit card, and I thought,
oh yeah,
that's quite a nifty idea.
On that copper wall thing.
All that,
hey?
like,
Yeah,
and there was,
yeah.
but there's beer taps in the tables with a credit card.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. Like you're just like, oh, I remember that, and then it lasted probably a few, however long it was, but it wasn't very long, and they poured so much money into it. It was a great concept, but sometimes Darwin audiences are a little bit unforgiving in that sense. Like they want their simplicity, they want their sort of normal beer, and like the crowd's very, very different. To, like in say CBD in Melbourne, I'm sure that would have
100%.
It'd still be going now.
Population alone,
population, all that sort of stuff. But I hope that the dueling piano thing is something that can really continue on forever, because Darwin really needs something like that to just give it a bit more of a spark back in the nightlife. I think.
I think. Yeah, I know what you're saying, and that's the thing. And I think that's a lot of, I guess, cause of apprehension.
Yes.
For a lot of people. Anyone that's been around here long enough, you know, you hear the I don't want to say horror stories, but you hear the things that haven't worked out, and it just creates apprehension. And but if you don't ever have a crack, you're never going to find out, are you?
Absolutely.
And that's the thing. People, you know, it's with any idea or anything like that, that if you don't give it a crack, and you don't want to look back 30 years and go, oh, that would have definitely paid off, you know, or I wish I'd just found out. And which is exactly the same thought process I've had even with the food stuff, you know what I mean? It's inevitable. The restaurant world everywhere in Australia, and that has taken a bit of a hit over the last couple of years and stuff like that. You know, there was doors shutting left, right and centre.
Yeah.
And that's a shame. But you got to have a crack, otherwise you're never going to find out, are you? So I think that's you know, and the commitment and the drive and the like, yep, we're in, we're, you know, all to the wall. That's what you need behind you, and I think these guys have, with their passion involved in it, it's just something that it's like, okay, like I trust the process, you know.
Yep.
Let's go in, let's have a crack, you know, and it's good, because I'm sure everyone thinks that in the back of their head somewhere, but you know, stuff it, have a crack.
I agree. Well, I think the dueling piano is like, it's a simple enough idea that I think it will work. So best of luck to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And how did you get mixed up with these guys? Do you think it's from your profile that you've built through things like MasterChef that put you on the developers' radars?
Yeah. So definitely MasterChef.
Yep.
One of the directors, Chloe, she messaged me on Instagram. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
She messaged me, and it was something along the lines of, you know, hey, got something going on. Are you interested in doing something with food? And just from being a local, and I work, you know, for my full time, I work generally at the fire station in the city here, and I've done plenty of Mitchell Street Manies in my time, and I've looked at this thing for ages, the old cinema, the old Ducks Nuts, thinking, oh, I hope someone does something with that one day, you know? So she messaged me saying, hey, look, I've got something going on with food. Something going on. Are you interested in doing something with food? And I can't really tell you too much. I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. And straight away I was like, oh, I reckon it's that.
Really?
Yeah.
You twigged straight away that...
Yeah, I don't know. It was just a gut feeling, I guess. Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah. And then I said, yeah, look, I'm keen to hear you out. Like,
Yep.
let's have a yarn. And yeah, that's when that was December 2022. And then I think in the coming January 23, I met with her and her partner Lockie and had a walk around, and sure enough it was, and that's when they told me the idea and everything like that, and kicked it off. And it was naturally because of MasterChef. I mean, I'm not a chef by trade or anything like that, so it's a funny old thing, MasterChef, the random opportunities you get, and look at me now, bloody hell.
You never know where you end up.
No, and that's the funny. Actually, we've been open now for, well, in regards to the Tucker and Flix, Tucker at Flix. 4 weeks, bloody, well, today, I think, actually.
Wow.
It's yesterday, yeah.
Uh-huh. Congratulations.
Thanks.
It's your month.
Three
anniversary.
3 or 4 weeks. The last 2 months are a blur.
Yeah.
But, just before opening, I was having naturally a panic attack about the whole thing. Going, what am I doing? Or, why am I doing this? Bloody, are people even going to like the food? All that sort of thing. And I randomly reflected back and had a memory that popped in my head. And when I first applied for MasterChef, I was getting a kebab, and I called my younger brother and I was, so I've applied for MasterChef. I was like, what? And had a bit of it. Why? What do you plan to open? I said, I don't know, man. I'll figure it out. And he travels around Australia at the moment in a Land Cruiser. And he's like, I've been at Airlie Beach. I was on a yacht actually, and the yacht owner and the chef, he was from MasterChef. And I thought, oh man, that'd be cool, like doing that. Yeah. And then that memory popped in my head, and then I'm like, oh Jesus, now I'm involved in this massive, awesome, exciting thing. And like I said, MasterChef creates opportunities randomly, and you just never know where or what you're gonna come across, which is so cool.
What was your motivation for jumping on MasterChef in the first place? Like, has cooking always been a passion of yours, or is it just something you just thought, I just wanted to give a crack to? What was the motivation there?
My food story, I guess, I've always loved it.
Yeah.
I've loved food. I love eating so much. That's why I got a bit of pud. So I grew up in Katherine, right? And there's not, nothing against Katherine, but there's not like, there's no Michelin or hatted restaurants down in Katherine, right?
Sure.
So, as far as my food experience went was corned beef, and, there was a takeaway shop that did a gyros, which I thought was incredible.
Yep.
So that my food venture wasn't as exciting as some people, where it's like I had the opportunity to do this and that. Right. It was always there though. It was always like, wow, this gyros and garlic sauce is incredible, And growing up in Katherine, for me anyway, being the kid that I was, the opportunities were essentially you're going to drop out of year 10, be a tradesman or a ringer.
Right.
And I remember saying to Dad actually when I was down there, I wouldn't mind, what about being a butcher or a chef? And, nothing against Dad or anything, but he's sort of, the chefing world in Katherine was pretty much the chef at the Golfie, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Options were limited.
Yeah. Which, my world was very, shortly after, I moved to Darwin and all that sort of thing. And I sort of parked it anyway. I sort of didn't really think much about it. But my parents were really good in the sense where they wanted us to learn life skills. So, once a week it was our, me and my two brothers turned to cook dinner for the family. And both of my brothers can't boil water. Love you. But they'll agree. Yeah. Whereas me, I was always like, I found this Jamaican chicken recipe on taste.com or whatever it was back then. And I'd cook all this random stuff and I had no idea what I was doing, but I just sort of winged it and I just loved it. Just loved, wow, if you put chicken and let it sit, your marinades and, all that sort of thing. But then anyway, a bit further along the track, and then I decided I want to be a firefighter. That's my whole goal. That's my ambition, Yeah. Got into the mining game and that sort of thing for a bit, and then moved to Adelaide for less than a year. Then got into the fireys.
Right.
All right. And incredible. Love being a firefighter and all that sort of thing. With being a firefighter, it's true like the old movies. We do the crew lunches and dinners, and one person or two people will take that reign on each shift and cook for the crew.
Yep.
And by that stage, I'd cooked and I enjoyed it and stuff like that. And the intensity that I put, because I was trying to impress the crews and stuff, being a new recruit and everything like that.
Yep.
I would start cooking all this random, not random, but like big recipes, like flash recipes,
complex sort of stuff.
Yeah. Well, looking back now, it was quite easy, but it was like, I'm gonna slow cook these beef ribs and chuck speck. I've never even used speck, but I'm gonna chuck that in there. And even to the crew, they'll be like, "What the bloody hell is speck?" And it's, for those that don't know, it's kind of like bacon.
Yeah.
So I started doing that and just loving it, like loving the again the communal thing of feeding people and stuff, because generally a crew 6 to 8 or something like that.
Yep.
And it was so fulfilling. Like on my night shifts, for example, we had the day off, and then I'd cook all day, bring in a dish for dinner.
Wow.
And I started really toying with your luxes and your pho and soups and stuff like that, and it was just so satisfying cooking for people. And I remember one day we had a short period of time and had to cook something up, and I cooked a fried rice up with some chicken, and really impressed them. And one of the guys who dabbles in a few other things sort of offered, "Hey, look, what do you think about a food truck? I'll buy you a food truck and we can do that." And no, I'm a bit shame job. And he goes, "What do you mean?" And I said, well, during this whole time, I was always real, like naturally I'm a little bit, self-conscious and shy.
Sure.
Which might seem weird, but I didn't really want to, because it was like a love project. I didn't really want to put it out there because I was worried about like what people are going to think or like,
you're opening yourself up, aren't you?
Yeah,
you're being vulnerable.
Vulnerable, that's the word. Yeah. So like I was real like, oh no, I don't want to do that. Like who am I? Like I've got no training. Don't really know what I'm doing. What if people hate my food? Like I would take that really bad.
Look, I just quickly, you know how I've got a food truck now as well. The first time I was at the Malacca markets, I remember the night before, I was shitting myself when I put together my recipe and all that sort of stuff. And the only thing I could think of was like, I'm going to be standing there for 4 hours and no one's going to buy anything.
Right? Yeah.
It was actually terrifying. I don't think I slept a wink that night.
Oh, Christ, yeah.
And then, you sort of get there and then hopefully people start buying your food. But I can absolutely empathise with that line of thought. It's terrifying.
It's terrifying. Yeah. And even now, bloody, even now with this, it's still, you get slow nights, you get busy nights, and that sort of thing. It's still, because, I'll ramble about it a bit later, but you put a lot of love in what you do. And if you don't, you should. Like, I think, always care about what you're trying to achieve or do.
Yep.
And anyway, I parked it. No. Look, I just played it off on. No, I've got no training.
Right.
And
looking for, like, you sort of made excuses.
100%.
Yep.
And so fast forward, I kept cooking, kept doing it. I traveled to a few little places, Vietnam and stuff, and learned, and just loved it. And there was a turning point there at one stage where, so I learned everything off, like I'm I guess self-taught off YouTube.
Me too.
Yeah, great. YouTube's unreal.
Oh, it is. It's a unlimited resource of knowledge, isn't it? Yeah.
You can learn to build a house on it.
Yeah, it's
I'm not get
amazing.
certified, but so I always, there was one guy binging with Babish, if you ever seen him. He recreated food movie. I loved him. Just every day would sit there and
deep
watch
voice.
It. Yeah, loved it. It's so therapeutic. I want to go to sleep watching it. And I don't know. I went through this phase of like, I wish I could. I would love to do what he does. YouTube and show people. And annoyingly enough, if I were to do a YouTube thing, it would kind of probably be somewhat to what he does. Recreate things from The Simpsons or something like that. And but I was like, nah, again, it was too shame to put it out to the real world. And anyway, I went to Japan, came back, fell in love with ramen, and one day decided I want to make ramen. And it's a big 16 and 18-hour process, right? Went throughout the whole thing, loved every moment of it, and then right towards the end, started having a few beers, having a great time, like ramen, loved it, it was good. And I took a photo of this ramen, and with a little bit of liquid courage, I created a random incognito Reddit account and put it on Reddit/food.
Okay.
And went to sleep. I'm drunk and went to sleep. And the next morning I woke up and there was 25,000 likes on it. And I was blown away because Reddit is a hard thing to please. And I was like, holy crap. And then people were like, show us how you do it on a video, this and that. And I was like, wow, like this is on, And I went out, I bought a camera, and then I shit my pants. Oh, sorry.
No, you can.
Yeah,
You can let it rip.
I shit my pants.
Yep.
And did nothing with it.
Really?
Yep.
So
Deleted the account, everything. Like, I just got too much in my head.
So so even though you'd sort of taken that first step almost inadvertently, and you'd got that validation, that 25,000 likes,
Yeah.
it was still really hard to then take the consecutive step to follow up.
I thought, what if I do, what if I film it and don't put my head in it, but I had tattoos and what if someone from Darwin sees a shame job, like, fuck, anything like that. And anyway, so I just didn't do anything with it. And anyway, I still kick myself about it. I don't know what. I just didn't like. I don't like the idea of something like fear or anxiety getting in the way of something.
Sure.
Anyway, so a couple months go by and I'm there and I scrolling Facebook and there was a random video of MasterChef scene where all the contestants are there and they're learning how to make a like a bolognese sauce. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I understand now why. Now I understand why, but the reactions of the contestants like, oh my God, bolognese sauce. I'm like, these guys should know that, I thought. And I was like, it is TV. I'm sure they all well and truly know how to make bolognese, but I looked at it and I thought, maybe I could do that, And then I Googled MasterChef application because I didn't understand anything about it. And then sure enough, they were actually taking intakes right there and then with a week left. So I screenshot it and I sent it to my now wife and I said, this would be cool. And then she said, yeah, it would be, but you're too shy.
Yep.
So then I said, well, I'll show her. So then I started applying and managed to get on. And that's a whole other story, the whole MasterChef journey and audition and that sort of thing. But that was the driving force, essentially, was that I thought, yes, I am shy, but what a better way than to jump into the deep end and really put myself on TV and have nothing else to hide from. So now I'm done MasterChef and I'm somewhat an influencer and I do cooking videos on Instagram and it's just I still now, every time I upload a video, I get nervous about it. Or like naturally, you cook something and I go, I don't really like the way that spring onion's placed. Mm-hmm. Hope no one comments on it or make me upset. But just got to roll with punches, I guess. Yeah. And it works out.
Do you think there's something to the effect of maybe your partner saying you were too shy? And is there some sort of psychology there where you were like, all right, I kind of needed that push, or I have a bit of a contrarian sort of, aspect to me where someone tells you can't do something.
100%.
You go, all right, that's all I needed, like it's...
My wife is an amazing person. She's very, very, much more cleverer than I am. Cleverer. She knew exactly what she was doing.
Right.
She had encouraged me previously to do something.
Yeah.
But I just kept blowing it off. Now, a couple of years later, and I've talked to her about it. All she needed was that, hey, she knew that I actually wanted to do it. Mm-hmm. And the way that she played that chess where it's like, it'd be great, but you won't do it. Was like, she knows that I'm somewhat, headstrong.
Sure.
So she knew how to play that game. And, oh, God bless her. Like that, thank God she did because it's been incredible. I'm so glad I did that.
Yeah, so she was the one that had to just plant that seed in you and then
100%.
Away you went.
I think, she talks about it now. She's like, the seed was there. He wanted to do it. He just needed, I guess, to own the fact that I wanted to do it, mm-hmm. Which was shown to her then when I sent her that picture. I'd never done that before. She was like, hey, you should do this or whatever. Once I've shown my hand, then she's like, okay, time to play cards or I'll smash her.
Yeah.
And it's cool. Even with Tucker and Flix and that. Again, there was a period there, and she's like, you just need to own the fact that you want to do this. You're scared that people won't like your food, but that's the reality of cooking. Like, just own it. When you own it, have a crack and it'll work out.
Yeah. And I think it just shows that a lot of the time, a lot of the fears you have are just your own, aren't they?
100%.
No one cares about your life as much as you do. You think people are always thinking about you and that sort of thing, but they're really not.
They're not.
They're not.
And,
they've got their own lives that they're worried about.
Yep. That's exactly it, and I try and relate that back to myself. I'm always thinking about all random sorts of things about mowing my grass or Telstra bills bugging me, but you don't realise the the facade you're putting on other people, where like you know everyone's going through the same thing where they're like thinking about something, or you know, is that person thinking about me or whatever. But everyone's got their own little lives, and don't overthink it.
Yeah.
Which is hard for someone like me who overthinks everything. But I'm gonna watch this video back, and just every time I start stressing, I'll listen to it.
Yeah, good. Well, there's some valuable lessons here.
Yeah.
So, but you finished third, right?
Yeah.
Which is that's incredible.
100%.
Because you know these are some of the best up and coming chefs. Well, probably the best chefs that Australia has to throw at you. Like, what was the most difficult part of that? Because I'm sure you had to sort of round out your own cooking skills.
Yeah, big time.
You know, to jump through certain stages of the competition. And
Yeah. I felt like I was really underdone when I got there, like in regards to experience or understanding.
Yeah.
So a lot of people would probably agree with me on that, but I think Manoli, I watched her podcast and she said it really well. Like it's a weird little environment where, you know, there's 24 other people and there's different personalities, there's different confidence levels, and some of them, again, you know, own or operate, you know, one, maybe two more, whatever, restaurants, or they've worked in amazing places and they've seen different things and stuff like that. That was a hard thing to sort of, again, back yourself, like, you know, with the season that I was on with Manola, you know, there was 12, I guess, newbies and 12 returning contestants.
Yeah.
So you're sitting there, you know, in amongst the 12 newbies, and you're looking at people that are from Melbourne that have eaten places or whatever, or that just you can see in their skill or their understanding of certain things, and you're like, oh my God, like I don't know how to do that. And then on top of that, then you've got 12 returning contestants who have either worked in the industry but nonetheless, it is a competition. But you know, when you do any competition, you gain experience from that, right? MasterChef's got its own little nicks and knacks that you figure out during the process.
Yes.
So
they had that to bring against you almost.
Yeah, they've you know, and it's I'm not saying that, oh, you know, they were better off or anything like that. It was just what was going through my head was like, okay. And I find, you know, being humble and stuff and acknowledging your weaknesses is a really good thing, because then you know where to start, or you know where to work. If you don't understand that, then you know you won't continually improve. So it was, for me, it was a bit of a rough start where it was just like, I'm trying to figure out all of this stuff at once. And then with the competition, I remember when you interviewed Manoli about it, she couldn't have said anything truer, where when you're not backing yourself and you're not feeling good, your dish reflects that big time. And I think it, you know, like she said, I couldn't agree more, where if you're sitting at home and you're having beer and, you know, you've got some friends around listening to music, man, it'll be the best food, you know, best hatted restaurant food, whatever, in the world, because it's what you're reflecting on your plate, you know. But if you're there stressing and you're anxious and you're camera in your head, you know, whatever, it's just not going to reflect, you know. And the judges can pick up on that, because you just can't focus on what you're doing, and you're stressing, and you're like, I don't know if this tastes good, you know, all that sort of thing. Yeah. So it is a massive. The thing I've said about MasterChef is that it is very difficult, very stressful, but it is so much fun at the same time, you know. And then when you start getting these little wins under your belt and stuff like that, it's amazing. You know, you got these 3 judges that know so much about food, and they'll turn around and say, like, this is incredible. You're like, oh, sweet. Yeah. How did I do that?
that must be, well, it must give you confidence at the very least.
Big time. Yeah. It's you start to realize, you know, you start to learn that, okay, if I'm in my wheelhouse, you know, which was a term used often, and I'm doing what I enjoy to do in regards to food, whether, you know, curry, soups, Thai, whatever, if you are in that wheelhouse and you're loving it and you're enjoying it, then you do better, and then it gives you confidence to continually build on that sort of thing. And that's what I started to find, was like, don't try and be flash, don't try and do a cuisine that I never really cook. Yep. Sometimes it is a competition, and they do test you on a wide range of things, but you just have to find your little comfortability. Yeah, that's I'm pretty sure that's a word. I hope. And it'll work out, you know. Yeah. But it was incredible. Like I was there for 6 months. That's in Melbourne.
That's such a long time.
Yeah, it was.
Is that how long, sort of, if you get that far in the competition?
Yeah.
Is that how long it takes?
Yeah. Well, for this season in particular, anyway, we had a bit of a hiccup with COVID.
Of course.
And a Christmas break, which I think actually Christmas break happens every year, but
Yeah.
yeah, there was a hiccup with COVID and stuff like that. But yeah, I came third, and then there was a day off for interviews, and then there was the final the day after. So it would have been, I was there for the same period of time,
Unreal.
6 months and 12 days or something like that. And it was just weird, the whole thing for me, like I'd never really been to Melbourne, a couple of days holiday or something like that. And, it was just this whole different world. It was cold and concrete and everywhere, and not a palm tree in sight.
Yeah.
And the whole experience with, the filming side of it and everything like that, it was so weird, but I couldn't rave about it long enough. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
Like, it was just this different experience. I've sort of said, like, to people, a lot of people are there fishing up here. Imagine if there was like a show where you're like, I don't know, they take 12 fishermen from around Australia, and then they put you in some random fishing place with the 3 best fishers in the world, and you have unlimited supply of, well, somewhat unlimited supply of tackle and bait and boats and whatever else, and it's like, be the best that you can be, learn everything you need to know about fishing, and we're going to film it. That's pretty much it. It was incredible, which is great.
So what was some of the weaknesses you thought that were in your cooking that you had to, whether there was like a stress test or whatever, a challenge in the competition that you had to really overcome to progress to the next stage? Were there any in particular?
Service challenges I hated big time, which was, that's where you're cooking for 70 odd people in a team.
Is that because it's just logistics and things are just whip it around and scale, all that?
Yeah, and that's cooking to scale to begin with in a short period of time, and then the whole in that you needed a clear leader in the team.
Yeah. Are they assigned? Or is it
it's kind of just discussed at the beginning, who wants to take lead on this? Someone will put their hand up, or if the competition goes, then it's like, Dan, you haven't had a crack, like, all right, I'll do it.
And if the service fails, does then the buck stop with that sort of leader, or is it just the weakest?
Generally what would happen, that team would go into elimination the next day.
Right. Okay.
Which sucks.
So there is motivation for everyone to pull together and
100%
make it work.
Yeah, and it is just hard juggling, these different personalities and stuff like that.
Egos.
And then, egos and stuff like that.
Skill sets.
Yeah. They were just so stressful. You looking back now, having done some services in the actual industry.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'd love to revisit that and see how that would go.
Yes.
Because at the time, like cooking, I remember we did a pork ribs or something. It was a street food challenge.
Yeah.
And we just chasing our tails the whole time. Like, it was so stressful, and you're like, oh no, we've burnt the chili or whatever. It's just consistently dominoes of failing. I don't think I did one service challenge that I think we passed, and that was when later on when we combined, the fans and favourites, and then again you had that experience there, and someone was like, right, this is how we're doing it, whatever. And it was just like, oh, this is so much more pleasant. You know what I mean?
Thank God, Thank God someone took the lead on that.
Yeah. In that season, Anyway, but services were definitely a week. Well, that's actually what knocked me out in third place. Was a service challenge in the finale. It just went pear-shaped. I just didn't know how to scale, didn't know how to manage my time. Just that sort of thing, really, I struggled with. I managed to do really well at pressure tests. I found juggling it was stressful as anything, but managed juggling the stress with reading the recipe, clear, concise. Managed to do that okay. I did some good ones of them. But mystery boxes I never really did amazingly at. I think a big part of it was my experience and understanding of food for a huge part of that season.
Yeah.
Was the production team will sort of tell you, when you start, is that there'll be
move that mic. Yeah, that's better.
There'll be a moment throughout your time where a switch will flick.
Okay.
And it did for me at one stage where I just couldn't look past an ingredient for what it was. And then I started thinking about it differently, where it's like, you know, cabbage, okay, let's brine it and then char the hell out of it, you know, that'll be yum. Whereas cabbage for me was just, you know, microwaved until the point where it smelled like fart, you know.
Right,
so that was a huge part for me was understand. I just needed to broaden my horizons a lot with food. There was a period, one mystery box we had to cook with coffee, and I did something simple, like it was a coffee cake and coffee ice cream or something like with some strawberries. And the dish didn't do amazingly because they didn't say it was enough coffee in it. I couldn't understand, like I just couldn't grasp, like, what do you mean there's coffee in it?
Yeah.
And then one of the production teams sort of said to me, like, mate, like, I'm going to level with you. Like, you know, your experience is minor to some extent, you know, in the nicest way possible.
Yep.
You know, you like to smoke meat. Oh, yeah, yep. And he goes, have you ever been to a place that actually is renowned or really good at smoking meat? I said, no. And then he goes, like, that's the sort of thing. Like, this is where you need to start comparing and understanding. And then I was like, oh, well, I'm in Melbourne. There's some great restaurants here. So for the next period of time, I went out every night. And
just branching out
and seeing what different things would do, even if they weren't necessarily in what I would like to cook, French cuisine or something like that.
Or like to eat.
Yeah,
even.
no, 100%. I went to a vegan place, like nothing against veganism or anything, but it's just not my wheelhouse.
Sure.
And that's actually something he said. He's like, you know, if there's a vegetable challenge, how are you going to go? And I'm like, oh, Jesus, probably not well.
Yeah.
So I started doing that. And then it was like, okay, like I'm understanding now what's going on a little bit more. And that was roughly when things picked up a lot more for me.
Well, it's amazing that you were actually able to learn that quickly, like while you were there. That's a hell of a skill.
Well, and that's honestly, I hold a lot of that to the season's fans versus favourites setup. You know, I know that, you know, there are people that may not have seen it as an even playing field or anything like that. But in the same time, at the same time, you know, there are days when the fans weren't cooking, but the favourites were.
Yeah.
So you're just watching them like a hawk, and just watching everything they're doing and their understanding and stuff like that. I learned so much from those guys alone. You know, like Manoli is probably one of the best people I've ever seen in regards to understanding the minute flavors of things.
Right.
You know, like you can balance and everything like that, but to the level of spice is really quite incredible. And I'm, you know, I know that you've heard her talk in regards to her flavor and stuff, her taste coming back and stuff in waves. That's incredible. If that, you know, really, really incredible.
Yeah.
I also linked up with another contestant, Michael Weldon, who just had such an understanding of food, and I was lucky enough that he sort of taught me a lot of things when the cameras were off, and I was just like a sponge, just soaking up everything, because desserts. I didn't know anything about desserts. It was a person that was rooming next to me in the accommodation. She's a cake queen. She made my wedding cake, and I just went in there and was like, teach me desserts, please. I don't know anything about them, you know? And that's all it was. I just put my head into it and was just like, I'm going to be a sponge.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's when I started understanding food a lot better, was just, okay, like kind of went in with the thing like, let's just assume I don't know anything.
Teach
me,
like
please.
I'm 5 years old.
Yeah,
sort of
100%.
Yeah.
And they were all willing enough to do it, which is amazing. You know, in a competition setting, you wouldn't assume many are, but they were, and it was great. So, yeah, hold my success to other people.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Did you find off camera that the mood was pretty positive? You know, because I've heard about a lot of those sort of reality type shows that once the cameras go off and, you know, everyone's smiling, then everyone's stabbing each other in the back and sabotaging each other and that sort of thing. How did you find the MasterChef?
I found it great.
Yeah.
Personally, I had a fat time. I related it a lot to, you know, as I mentioned, I'm a firefighter. Like when we do a recruit course, similar sort of thing. You know, 4 months of 12 different people from different worlds, different egos, different attitudes, in this pressure cooker environment where the rest of the world kind of doesn't matter for that period of time, and you're under stress the whole time, and you're learning under the stress, and you're physically fatigued. MasterChef was very similar, just on a different scale, I found. So there are definitely things during that time where people might have been, you know, upset about, you know, a judging, or upset about, you know, something.
Yeah. They thought they were treated differently or something like that.
Yeah. It's natural. It's competition. And again, like I said, there's don't think anything was really malicious. I think everyone was just they put a lot of love and care and time, sacrifice into this thing.
Yeah.
So naturally, if something doesn't go or something doesn't work out, people get upset. And I just related that to a recruit course where it was kind of like, well, I understand what you're feeling, but just remember this is going to end at any given time, and like maybe let's just enjoy it for what it is. And naturally, you, in a scale of this many people, like there are, I guess, groups that form because they are click better or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that just kind of works itself out in that sense where people are just kind of chill and they have their little groups and have fun and stuff like that. And any sort of any sort of thing that upsets you, like for me anyway, if there was a day that didn't work out well, my roommate for a large portion, Matt, who's a good friend of mine now, we would go back to the accommodation, crack a beer and just go, oh. Yeah, let's not talk about it, mate. Have a beer and then it's like, all right, this is, okay, let's do some cooking. It's fun.
Yeah. Is he, or amongst others, the best connections you made when you were on the show? Who are the people you sort of connected with the most?
I connected with a few people actually, I guess. Like I really liked everyone really. But in regards to close mates, Matthew Landmark, just great guy, just got along with him famously, and Michael Weldon. And then there was a few others in particular that I really connected with, like Julie Goodwin. She's just an amazing woman. But it's really hard to compare. Like I mean, those two are probably the there was another bloke, Chris Tran. He left relatively early in the season.
Okay.
But it was just one of those guys I just connected with and I've kept in touch with.
So you have kept in touch with a lot of these guys?
Yeah. I mean, I got married like a month ago or 2 months ago now, and there was a good old group of MasterChefers in the corner there. It was great. Like just lifelong friends,
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So do you have a cooking style that you can sort of describe, or is it just sort of a bit of a mishmash of different things? And
I
guess living in Darwin will probably do that to you, won't it? It's such a melting pot.
Yeah, I think so. And I don't really like putting a label on it. It just, I guess, makes me a bit. I don't know. Like I find it hard to do it myself. I'd rather someone else to just look at it and go, oh, this is. I'd say.
Well, what things do you like to cook the most? Let's ask that question.
Yeah,
what gives you the most joy?
Yeah, I love tropical flavors in particular. So I love particularly Thai, Viet, Malay. Love that sort of stuff.
Like fresh.
Sort of, yeah, I love anything with a lot of fresh ingredients.
Okay.
Anything with lime, chili, coriander. I'm laughing. And
that is Thai, isn't it, to a T? Almost.
Pretty much, yeah. All Southeast Asian in a nutshell, really. I really like those sort of things, that tropical, zesty, bright, spicy sort of food.
Yeah.
I haven't ventured as far as South America or Mexico yet, and I do love a lot of that food. I just want to go over there, which I'm doing shortly, but going to go over there, learn it from the source, and then soak it in, I think.
Yeah.
Like anywhere that warm tropical sort of stuff. But I also really, really love using Australian natives.
Yeah. Because I had a chat with Robbie Cooper when he was on the podcast, and he wasn't really that. I don't know how to describe it, but not that glowing of how he thinks that maybe natives fit with contemporary cooking. He says like it's more difficult, I think, to find flavor profiles in natives that fit with foods. I don't know. I could be sort of mischaracterizing that, but how do you sort of find that with the native maybe flavor profiles and how they fit with things that people like to eat?
I think he's somewhat correct. Like they are a tricky thing to use.
Yeah.
And that there's so many of them as well, which is I've found that there's a few in particular that seem to tie in with this fresh tropical sort of flavor.
Okay.
Things like your Davidson plum, it's just like this sour, rich, purple, beautiful plum, right?
But it's not sweet.
It's got a little bit of sweetness, but
Okay.
I would say tart more so.
Right.
That for me, I look at that and I'm like, oh, that could be the base of something like, char siu pork or char siu marinade. You know what I mean? It's got the color, and it's got the tartness, the sourness, and a bit of sweetness, and then you fortify that with, you know, in Chinese five spice, for example, they'll have, you know, cinnamon, star anise and that. Then if you start venturing as well, you got your cinnamon myrtle and your aniseed myrtle, lemon myrtle.
Yeah.
They're like a eucalyptus, right? So those obviously could then almost substitute those in, say, a char siu sauce, right? I don't think I'm pronouncing that right, but anyway. But having said that, they are a leaf, so they are bitter.
Right.
And that is where a lot of that trickiness comes from. And the flavor as well, which is interesting, that they are very prominent, but if you cook them or overcook them, they can lose a lot of that flavor.
Cook out.
Yeah. And if you don't, they're a little pain at times, but I think some of them definitely you can toy with and that. But I've also found as well, like some of them, like there's lemon aspen, right? It's this little sort of berry thing. Mm-hmm. So full on zesty and sour. That in itself could be, you know, it's almost like, how do you say it? Like yuzu, you know yuzu?
Yeah, I know of yuzu. I haven't really cooked
Japanese
it
ingredient. Yeah. Same. Like I compare it to something like that, and then once that link is sort of created, then it's like, okay, well,
use it in that sort of fashion.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. But they are tricky. It was almost best just to let them sort of shine through for what they are.
Really?
I think, from my experience, yeah.
Okay.
I'm certainly no expert on them. There's people like the late Jock. He was incredible at using them. But I like the way that on the taco menu, we got a smoked paper bark oil. We char it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. It's like motor oil as black as anything.
Yep.
But it's this subtle smokiness that comes through.
Yep.
It reminds me of bushfire, right? The smell of a bushfire. I remember seeing Jock using paper bark for a honey creme brulee. He made a creme brulee, and then he painted honey onto this paper bark, charred the hell out of it, and steeped it in milk, and then used that into his creme brulee.
Wow.
And it was incredible. It was just like this subtle smokiness. It's like, that's a native ingredient. It's just like, if you're able to create that link, I think you really are a match to be reckoned with, you know?
Yep.
But having said that too, natives, you know, that it also goes into game and stuff like that. Your crocodile, your kangaroo and stuff like that.
Magpie goose.
Magpie goose, yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
There's many of things I'd love to try and do with that. I just don't hunt geese. So
yeah, it's a hard meat to contend with.
Oh, big time, yeah.
Because it's like a lot of Australian food. If you, like you say, overcook it, it'll get tough. You know,
yeah.
I've heard, you know, you have to marinate it in lime juice to try and get that breakdown of the fibers and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the realm with the natives. I think, you know, there are some times it can be sort of used as I guess a bit of a cliche or something like that, where it is, oh look, we're chucking this on that, and you don't really taste it.
Yeah.
Because it is hard to use, I think, is more the difficulty. But we've got quite a few natives in the taco menu, and I'm hoping I'm giving them justice. Like, we do a pepperberry rum cap skewer. So pepperberry is kind of like, well, it's pepper almost, but it's got this tingling effect, almost like Szechuan peppercorn. Which is kind of what we go for. We go for a certain flavor profile with that, and link with the beef and pepper are best friends, aren't they? So that's the sort of thought process behind that, and trying to get that to hum through, which can be tricky at times. But yeah, a lot of trial and error.
Do you see natives just getting bigger and bigger in terms of, I don't know, like could they be an industry in their own right?
I hope so. Yeah, there's some people doing amazing things with natives, like the Motlop Mob. With Something Wild.
Like, we had Shannon on this podcast.
Yeah, Shannon. Yeah, so those guys are doing great things with it. You know, they're still in Adelaide market. Like, they've got game meat in there. Like that's awesome. There's I can't think of her bloody name. Raylene from Congas Can Cook down in Alice Springs.
Okay.
She does a bunch of natives as well, and the bush tomato. If you're familiar, it's kind of like a little raisin.
Okay.
Incredible, like yum. Like they're these little dynamite fruits, I guess. They are all harvested. She told me once. I think 90% of Australia's bush tomatoes are harvested in that Alice Springs region. I
Is that right?
don't want to say the community in case I get it wrong, but by locals, by traditional Aboriginal women too. They're picking them.
And what sort of flavour profile do they have?
Kind of like a golden raisin, but better, mixed with a tomato. Like I don't.
So how does she use them in her cooking? What
I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
But we use them. We use them. We make a chutney out of them.
Oh, okay.
And then we mix that in with the Kewpie mayo because it's like this kind of like curry / tomato sweetness relish.
Yep.
Mixed with a mayonnaise or Kewpie mayonnaise.
Yep.
And on top of the rum cap skewer with the pepper.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've cooked it down once before where I did a smoked barramundi as well and cook them down to like this jam. And have that as a base of your smoked barramundi, and so this sweet umami, just packed. They're unreal. I love them. Kind of like a golden raisin or a little raisin mixed with a tomato that's been sort of dried out. Sick.
Yeah. Wow. There's a lot. Yeah. Seems like the sky's the limit for a lot of this sort of stuff.
Yeah. Natives. There's so many that you can. Like I remember I did a cook with Daniel Lamble a couple of years ago, and they pickled kakala, which is kind of like this succulent, like a little succulent that grows along the beach.
Sure.
Super salt. It's like you bite in, it's like a crisp salt, explosion. And then he pickled it, and I was like, oh, here we go, exciting.
Yeah.
And it was just like, it was like this green succulent salt and vinegar chip almost. Like it was just bang vinegar, bang salt. Like it was sick. And we had that on top of some smoked barramundi as well. It was the world's your limit with your natives. I think. I think we're scratching the surface.
Yep.
Yeah, hence why I like them. I think I think there's a good industry there. I think being native, I think and it's starting. There's an opportunity there to really create that industry there for native Australians. Indigenous Australians to really benefit from that, which is great.
Yeah. Who are some of your sort of cooking heroes, or the people that have done it before that you really look up to? Are they celebrities? Is it your parents? Who do you sort of cooking?
My favourite, I guess, is
Heroes.
Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah,
love him.
I love him too. Yeah.
Well, I'll be happy to meet him one day if it ever happens. I did a TikTok and everyone was like, "I'm like the Gordon Ramsay from Wish,"
From Temu or whatever.
I was like, kind of like chuffed, but kind of like from Wish, Temu, eBay or something at least. I love Gordon Ramsay. Really loved Tess and Bloomsdale when I was a kid.
Yep.
Just he's like mad scientist making all these crazy cool things.
Yeah.
Those two would be probably the biggest. But since having, meeting Jock and stuff like that, he was really cool what he did, which I thought was really, really special. But there's a few that I really admire that I'll be sitting here for half an hour talking about.
What is it about Gordon Ramsay being able to swear at your colleagues? Is that what you like about him?
No. His energy.
Right.
His energy. And like there's no denying. Like he's very successful, very very great at cooking. He's created an empire essentially, and he started in that old school style of cooking where you were, in that industry where it was really harsh and everything like that. And
under Marco Pierre White.
Yeah, God, could you imagine?
Would have been just grilling him. Probably
there's a story
him.
that's renowned, Gordon cried under Marco Pierre White. I was like, I would cry. I mean, I met Marco and I nearly cried.
Really?
Yeah, he was on the show on MasterChef there for a bit, for one episode.
What's he like in person? Is he very intense? Or does he sort of let the guard down? Because I've found, I've seen a lot of footage of Marco over the years. I really admire him, and it seems like he's really softened as he's gotten older. Like he sort of wants to share things, it seems, more with people, as opposed to being this hard-assed chef that won all these Michelin stars and was had a ciggy hanging out the mouth and all this sort. It seems like he's softened. How did you find it?
Yeah, look, I think I've seen and heard all that as well, and the stories. When I met him, he was just a sweetheart. He was like like anything, I guess, in time. He's done his accolades are there. He's on the wall. He's a bit more chill. It seemed. I can't say that I know him personally. Know him personally. But when I met him, he was very sweet, very calm, very helpful. I actually loved. I cooked a meat pie for him. Yeah, we had it's funny saying it out loud, isn't it? We had to cook. He was talking about his Michelin stars, and back then he was sort of saying that what he did was use your humble ingredients that are in your pantry, your Worcestershire sauce, olive oil, etc.
Yep.
And I thought, well, like I grew up cooking bloody big meat pies and stuff like that, and that's all I really can think of right now. So I cooked this big pie, and he came over, and I was starting the base of this pie, flour and whatnot. He comes over, and he's like, "How are you going to thicken this?" And I was like, "I'm going to do this and that." And he goes, "The old school way," and then walked off. And I'm like, "Oh, is that shit? Am I doing it right?"
Yeah. Is that good? Is that bad?
Yeah. Long story short, everything, pie was fine. I just didn't cook long enough.
Right.
The pastry and everything was cooked, everything like that, but just the meat wasn't as soft as it could have been.
Okay.
And it didn't show it on TV, which I was upset about, but because everyone had a pretty good day. I ended out in bottom 2 with someone else. I swear, hand on my heart, he he takes his glasses off and he's like, what did he say? He's like, you're very brave, aren't you, Daniel? And I was like, I was thinking, oh, I know where this is going. I'm like, oh, yeah. Some would say brave, some would probably say stupid or foolish. And he's like, you cooked a pie in an hour 15. Some people would say that that's stupid. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm in trouble here. And he goes, if you gave me an hour and 15, I don't think I could cook a pie that good. However, the meat was tough. And he goes, I don't want this to ruin your day, rah, rah. He goes, but I just want you to remember that, fortune favours the brave. I was like, that's incredible. Like, bloody, look, I was at bottom 2. There was no denying it. Meat was tough.
Yeah.
But I was chuffed with that. I was thinking, no, dust it off, play on. I'll go to the elimination tomorrow.
It's like a backhanded compliment.
It was. I was like, is that a compliment from Marco Per White?
Yeah,
but
that's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I was just chuffed to say, it pretty much was saying, look, you missed the boat on this one, but.
Yeah. But in the time that you had, you've
done well.
Bloody well.
Yeah. And, but he also said, like the fame, fortune, the brave thing, it was kind of like, don't be disappointed in the fact that you took a punt here on a roughie. Yeah. But, sometimes these roughies pay off. So, yeah, I was real chuffed with that.
Yeah.
So my experience with Marco was really nice. Yeah. But yeah, so going on about Marco Per White for 20 minutes.
That's all right. We've talked a lot about cooking, but I think I heard you say before that being a fiery was your dream job.
Yeah.
How do you sort of balance the two, cooking and being a fiery? You say you're still a fiery, is that right?
Yeah.
You still work at the...
Still a firefighter, yeah.
So is being a firefighter still your dream job, or is cooking your passion? How do you sort of see those two things?
I see them for, two yin and yangs almost. Like I love both of them.
Yeah.
It's hard. I mean, I wish it was something that I don't wish it actually, but things would be easy if it was like, oh, I'm in this job and I hate it. I've got this cool stuff going on with cooking and everything like that. Leave and do this. But I love both of them. I love being a firefighter. It's exciting. It has always been a dream job of mine.
Yeah.
8 years in now, something like that, and done so much. I think there's heaps of stories, heaps of opportunities I'd never thought I'd be in. And cooking is that passion of them at the same time. I love cooking. I think I have no idea where the future's going.
Yeah,
no idea.
Because is cooking something that you want to do ultimately full time, or is it at least have a crack at full time eventually? Is that something on your radar?
It's definitely in the back of the head for sure. Well, in my head.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's at the back because it's so evident right now, but it's. I really don't know the answer to it, and I know that might sound weird to a lot of people. Like, he's got his half foot in, half foot out. It's not necessarily like that at all. Like, I work shift work in the fires, 2 days, 2 nights, and I have time to cook as well and do services and create recipes and cook for people. And, it's a lot of hours in a week to work, but I like it. I don't have a problem with it. I think. I think that's a beautiful thing in the situation that I'm in is the fact that I have the ability right now to do two things that I love.
Yep. So you are finding balance in your mind at the moment.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have to, I guess, you know, like when I got my firefighter hat on, helmet on, I've got to be a firefighter. Gotta think about that and focus on that. And when I'm doing the cooking, that's what it is taking over my brain at the time. And I have no idea where the future's leading. I really don't.
Yeah.
But I'm along for the ride and it's pretty fun. Yeah. And I'm just loving all of it at the moment. It's great.
Yeah.
And I think it is good to invest time in the things that you love. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like otherwise, what's the point of it?
Yeah.
Life is as short as we're given. So
yeah,
have a crack.
Yeah. How do you find the vibe around the department, the fire department? Is it are you pretty tight knit with your colleagues there? Do you have to be? You know, if someone's pulling you out of a fire or something like that, you know, like I'm sure you want to be able to trust them. And that's the cool thing about the job is like, you know, they say the camaraderie of it all, teamwork, and it really is like that. You just it is like going to work, but your work is kind of at like a footy club. Yeah, go there, hey, you know, Jonesy, whatever. Like it's really cool. Like you're all mates, and you're all. Yeah, you're all hanging crap on each other. You're having a laugh, stitching each other up, working hard. And then like when the bells drop, it's just like everyone's in this like robotic mode. It's just like, you know, doing it all. And it's cool. Like you got your assigned watch. I'm on Sea Watch. We ride. It's so lame, but I love it. And like each watch has their own little team, you know, and you do your social things outside of that. And it is really like a foot club. You know, it's great. Yeah.
That's what I love it. You know, it's like anywhere. I guess when you got a great team and people that you really get along with, it just makes life so much funner. It makes work fun, enjoyable, right? Yeah.
Have you had any close calls or anything like that, or have you sort of got to a fire and gone, wow, we've got to deal with, you know, like where it's. I'm sure a lot of jobs are fun in theory, and then when you get to the coalface, so to speak, you know, it's a different thing. And I'm sure, like, I think fireys are heroes. Seriously, that's not trying to blow smoke up your ass or anything, but like a lot of what you guys do, 99% of people can't do. Yeah. Yeah. Have you had any sort of times where you've just gone, oof, you know, this could
one
be.
in particular.
Can you talk about it?
Yeah. It's funny. Fire's probably giving me shit if they see this interview too. Like, I was talking about your job. Like, there was a massive fire, structure fire. It was like 2 or 3 sheds on fire. Yeah. It was the first night shift I came back after MasterChef, funnily enough.
Wow.
Yeah, straight back into it. I was so unfit. I've been
out of the frying pan into the fire, literally.
Good.
Can't do better than that.
That'll be the name of my book.
I think that's pretty good. You can have that one.
Yeah, great. Most boring book ever. We had this massive structure fire, and it was, it was getting pretty hairy. There was like a breezeway down the side of it, and one of the things that we got like a process that we go when we go through fires. One of them is exposure. So we try and contain the fire within itself so that it doesnn't get worse, essentially. Sure. So that was my job straight away was to make sure that we contain this so it's not going to spread anywhere else. And I was down this little breezeway and I'm putting water on it. This thing was cooking, man. It was going off. And I had I'm trying to put it in layman's term. I had a hose which was not the biggest hose that we have, but in the middle.
Sure.
And it was honestly like I was pissing in the wind. It was doing nothing. And down the side of this breezeway, it was like, corrugated iron, and it was glowing red, like it was just glowing as if everything inside was just cooking, whatever. And it's the only time I'm going to bloody brag about my job here, guys. Like, maybe shame job.
Don't give him too much shit.
Yeah. So I'm down this thing and I'm putting water on it, and I'm like, oh my God, this thing, I'm not doing much to this, Yeah. And there was gas bottles inside, and you'll hear them at fires, and poof, oh shit, So you could hear him going off, and I'm there, and I'm like, crap, like I don't want to go much further. It's a bit risky, you know. And we're waiting for the bigger hose to come, as well, because we only just got there, and it was within 2 minutes we were there. I was down this thing, and you can hear these gas cylinders inside going, whatever else, and bruh, there was one right. I was near this wall. There was one right next to me, and no shit that the corrugated iron like bowed out, and I was like, yeah, nah, F this, and backed out, and there was a bloody skip bin there. You know,
you hid behind it.
I'm gonna get so much shit. I grabbed this skip bin and rugby scrummed it up into the corner there because I couldn't leave it. We were protecting the other shits.
Yep.
So scrummed it in there, and then I felt like I was like Call of Duty, like ducking behind this bin.
Yeah.
You know, and then I don't know if you've seen the big truck we have, the Bronto. It's like the real big laddered thing.
I'm sure I would have seen it.
Yeah, that we got one of them in the city here.
Okay.
In the Bronto, and that thing's incredible, man. And that was on the other side of the opposite street, the other side of the block.
Yeah.
And I'm there, and I'm like, damn, this is sketchy. I don't like this. I'm gonna bob back out. And then I just seen this big light come up like God, and I was like, that's the Bronto, and it just sprayed water, and I was like, oh, thank Christ. So I backed out, and then that fire was crazy, man.
Yeah.
Like it was, yeah.
And that's the thing. You probably most of the time you don't really know what you're getting into because you don't know what sort of gas or things that could explode or go off in there. And
we got a lot of training in regards to understanding what's dangerous and what's not.
Yeah.
You know, like you see the movie Backdraft and stuff, which it is a very dramatic version of what a backdraft is. But backdrafts are a serious thing. They kind of explode. But we go through so much training in regards to understanding what's risky, what's not. Like that situation there, that was fine at the time.
Yeah.
And pretty much did exactly what I should have done, where it was like, okay, this is getting sketchy, I'm going to pull out. And then it was all safe anyway because the big truck came.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, that's probably the only time I've been like proper stressed.
Yeah.
I also did the Black Summer fires down in, I was on the edge of Queensland and New South Wales. And that was insane as well, like the vast size of it. And that was another time that I've been stressed. And it was one big day there. And
because it's different kind of bush, isn't it, down there? Like they've got bigger eucalypts and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Where I was in like the Bow Desert region. And it was like all flat farming land. There was all this grass and stuff. And that stuff just burns, and then it like kind of burns on the ground and stuff. And it's just, it gets...
Like it carpets, doesn't it? It's I saw some footage from that, which terrified me because I think it was a bunch of fireys actually next to their truck, and in like a matter of seconds, they basically abandoned it because from whatever direction it was, they couldn't escape a certain way. And within, it was almost like seconds, first you sort of see the embers, and then you just see this carpet, and then all of a sudden everything's on fire. And it just happened in a matter of moments. And that's what you're facing, right?
Yeah, it's particularly like down in the New South Wales region and that. Well, Queensland gets it too, but they got all those big forests and stuff with the big pine trees and that sort of thing, and they get what's called a crowning fire when it gets up into the trees and takes off, and like that is dangerous stuff, man. Like that's very, very risky. But and that's why it just gets bad down. Different type of fire that we have up here. We have we have intensity in our own sense and with the region and the bush that we have.
Yeah.
But again, just different games, different playing fields and sort of thing. So yeah.
Well, outside of the kitchen and outside of the fire department, how do you sort of wind down? You know, you sort of sounds like you're sort of living in two worlds at the moment.
Yeah.
How do you sort of balance that outside of work with proper leisure time?
I'm a bit of a nerd, I guess. Like I love me video games. Love love me fishing. I'm also like I hit 30 earlier in the year. So I've started dabbling in beer brewing. I'm big on my grass and garden right now.
Right.
Yeah. I'm gonna get a...
That's what happens.
Yeah, I'm going to get a beehive.
Yeah.
That's going to be my... out there. And
it's either smoking meats, beer brewing, coffee making is another one. And like lawn care is another one. So you sort of just about
got a bit of a hat trick there.
Yeah.
The other one they say is golf, but I refuse. I hate golf. I'm so bad at it.
Yeah.
But I used to play rugby a lot as well, which was great. But I've injured myself too much now, and I'm done. So
It's a tough game, rugby.
Yeah, it's
Brutal.
shocking.
Yeah.
So, but that's like to. I guess a bit of a homebody, but I also like going out and I love camping and fishing and that. I just haven't. This year's been so busy. I just haven't bloody done much of it. So I've just really invested in my garden.
Sure. Is the territory? Is that why you love living here, for that sort of outdoorsy sort of lifestyle where you can get amongst nature and get back?
Yeah, I think so. Like I just love the place, to be honest. I mean, I'm born and bred. So
you were born here?
Born in Catherine.
Born in Catherine, right? And then you moved up to Darwin.
Yeah, it would have been 12 or 13, so 08.
Yeah. Was that with for your parents, like work or something, or what?
Yeah. Well, my parents had been there for a long time, 20 odd years or something. So I think they were just ready to move. We were actually originally going to go to WA, but that didn't happen. And then we moved to Darwin. And at the time when I left Catherine, it was, I'm moving back as soon as I'm 18. But then moved to Darwin. I'm like, nah, Darwin's pretty cool. I thought Darwin was a big city, man. When I, it was.
Well, I mean, I lived in Tennant Creek for 8 years.
Oh, Jesus.
So I mean, I was born here though.
Yeah.
But my mum was born in Tennant, so we have a bit of a family there. But yeah, like I've had the same sort of feeling coming back to Darwin and Darwin seeing. Being overawed by Jesus.
Going to Casuarina going, oh my God, there's more than 3 shops here.
Yeah, that's right. All air conditioned, like amazing.
What?
Yeah. So
that's exactly it. Yeah. So I just love the place. Like the opportunity as well, man. Like me and the missus have talked about it. We got a great house and great garden and everything like that. And it's just I don't know. You can't get both hands are right. You can't get certain things done that you get down south, but you also flip that too. We've got a great house and great group of friends, and we're centralised. We don't have to take an hour to get into the city or anything like that.
Get to work.
Yeah. We love all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And like the weather as well. I know that's a big thing for a lot of people, but I don't know. I try and find the beauty in certain things as well. Like yes, it's warming up now. It's getting bloody hot, but.
Yep.
As soon as those storms roll in, man, it's unreal. And then the place changes and it's beautifully green and, you get those unreal sunsets and stuff. I love that stuff. I love that, the environment that we're in.
Yeah.
And that's what I found particularly out. I moved to Adelaide for about a year and then obviously I was in Melbourne for 6 months as well. I just missed that tropical, and we are a weird little, I guess, cross sections, are we? Because we've got the tropics, but then we also have like bush, right? And then a little bit further down the track, we've got red dirt. And I think that's really cool in the ecosystem we're in, and it's just like there's so much beauty in the environment that we're in, and I love that, and I love being outdoors and camping and that sort of thing, and I think that's just why I've been for my pretty much my entirety. So yeah.
In terms of the territory's food scene, do you think it's having a bit of a renaissance? Because we've had yourself, Manoli, Robbie Cooper have all been to the MasterChef. Competition. Manoli's come back. She's done really well with her restaurant.
Yeah.
You've got your thing going on at Tucker. How do you sort of see the territory food scene at the moment? Is it having a moment? And is it, how do you sort of see it progressing?
Yeah, look, I hope so. I think so. Like, I mean, in this year, I think there's been quite a few different places. There's another one is Reese Venturin opened up the Loose Goose Bar down at down near Six Tanks there. Unreal, nice little cocktail bar.
Yep.
There's Annalise Grazioli and what she's been doing with the cocktails and stuff like that.
Well, she just won
a
bartender award.
Bartender of the Australia year or something like that. Yeah, she's
crazy.
incredible. Like, and
and then sorry to cut you off, but like we just had Dave Willing from Willing Distilleries.
Yeah.
And all the gins.
Yeah.
Him and another fella, like a completely different gin distillery, are winning all these bloody gold medals.
Yeah.
So the territory's punching above its weight in so many ways.
Well, who's to say it's above our weight? You know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
Like,
that's maybe where we belong.
That's and I think there's always room for more food, or at least quality of, always room for it to keep growing, right?
Yeah.
You never want to be stagnant. And I think it's great. Like, I think let's keep it going. Like, why not? I understand. Yeah, there's, like we talked about earlier, there's always a thing with risk. Things not working out. But I think it's great because what I've seen recently is it seems like people are just having a crack.
Yep.
And why not? There's no room for there's no room for egos or wars or any of that sort of thing. Why? Like, I think Darwin's too chilled and relaxed and friendly to put up with any of that stuff. We're not, we're not contending it. Let's start loading up. We have so many great things up here with food. Like, let's really push it. I think, Manoli's a massive driving force in that, and particularly with, me getting involved in it as well, seeing how well she's done and how much passion and love she's putting into it. And it's like, let's do, let's all have a go. Like, and I think that's a great thing. Like, I think, I actually knew this the other day, but I've forgotten it now, but there's been like 4 or 5 places open in the since the drive, throughout this year.
Yep.
And I think it's great. I think it really is great.
Well, do you think, just probably the mere fact that the consortium that's put together all the money for this cinema collective, do you think that investment coming back to somewhere like Darwin is a sign that people think the place can bounce back? We've had a pretty rough trot, obviously, as has a lot of places. We probably copped it maybe less than a lot of places, particularly down south after COVID. But, the economy is pancaking right now. We've had a bit of a tough run, maybe with some of the social issues that have gone on in the territory. But do you think that this investment is a sign of confidence that the territory can
100%
can bounce back?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it says it in itself, I guess. Really, if the people are investing that much and putting that much effort and love into it, and they do believe that, right?
Yeah.
Then that's a great thing. I think that's what it should be about. Is they do believe that. That's why they're doing it.
Putting their money where their mouth is, so to speak.
Yeah. Believing in what they're doing, and it's great. Yeah. There's other places that are doing it as well. All these little restaurants and bars and stuff that are kicking off.
Yeah.
They're all doing the same thing. They're all investing. They're all believing in what they do. They're believing in essence the territory in Darwin. And bloody oath, mate.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good note to finish on, mate.
Yep.
How can people support what you're doing? Get down to Flix. Get down to Taco. Get down to Sweethearts.
Get down to the Cinema
stuff.
Collective, mate. Bloody come down to Flix, have a cocktail, grab some tucker.
Yeah.
And then cruise on down to the Sweethearts. Grab a snitty, grab a steak, dance to some pianos.
Yeah.
I think, get out, not just for us, but for everyone. Get out, have a cocktail,
Support
knock
local.
off work, bloody oath. Like,
Like, why aren't you out there already?
Yeah. Like, I mean, I say to myself, like, Mrs. and I will knock off work and then we sit at home and do nothing. Like, might as well go out and have a cocktail and have a, go and have a feed somewhere.
Yeah.
Go down to the markets, go down to produce markets, grow some watermelon and coconut. Like, go buy that stuff, have a feed, get out, support it. That's the thing. We can always do more and we can always back each other and support each other, and that's what it's about. Bloody oath.
Beautiful. Daniel, love the passion, mate. Thanks for your time.
No worries. Thank you for having me, mate.
No worries. We'll have you on again if you're willing, mate.
Yeah.
All right.
You might have to talk too much, so we'll give it like a year.
Well, watch this space. Watch this space.
It's just so you don't get sick of hearing my voice.
All right, mate. Appreciate your time. Daniel Lamble, thanks for joining
mate.
us.
Cheers.
Mate. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time. Cheers, mate.
Thank you.